Welcome to another episode of the Healing Chronic Illness Summit. And today I have Karina from Virginia with me. And she is one of the persons that has healed herself from eczema, which took her quite a while to heal. And yeah, the medical medium information has helped her a lot in getting better and getting very good results. Welcome, Karina.
Hi everyone.
So nice to have you on the show.
Yeah, it's so nice to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, you have such an amazing story to share.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit more how it went for you, how you got to the plant-based diet or the medical medium diet?
Yeah,
Lifestyle?
Absolutely. Yeah, so for me, when I look back, I can tell that I had a lot of symptoms growing up. But the bulk of my symptoms, it didn't get really bad until I went off to college. That was when I started having multiple symptoms and was just didn't know what to do and what was going on. I was questioning like what's happening to my body. I felt really a loss of control over everything. And yeah, I had acne in 7th grade. And like when I hit 12, I started getting acne, and yeah, I didn't really understand that. But in college is when I started getting eczema, and I went to lots of dermatologists and doctors, and they would give me steroid treatments to use, and they never really worked. They would help for a little bit, and then the next following day it would come back even worse. So, and I always just thought it was genetics. That everyone just told me, oh, it's genetics, there's nothing really you can do. There's only things that you can do to help it.
So also some members of your family did have it? Or
yeah, my mom, she actually has psoriasis all over her body. So I always kind of thought I might get something like that later on, because she told me that she got hers around my age when I started getting my eczema. So yeah, I always just thought it was eczema, or I always thought it was genetics, and I thought there wasn't anything I could do about it, and I was going to have to live with that for the rest of my life. And lots of other symptoms I started getting. I started having chronic UTIs, yeast infections, like on a weekly basis. I was having to go to the hospital all the time for them. Of course, they give you antibiotics, work for a little bit, and then the symptoms would come right back. And I didn't really understand what was going on, because everyone just told me, oh, it's normal. People get UTIs. That happens. Oh, people get eczema. That happens. But for me, my symptoms just kept getting worse. My eczema was spreading all over my body. It was all over my face, and it was just on my legs, and it was on my back and arms, like everywhere. So, and then the yeast infections, the UTIs, I was getting that every week. It wasn't just here and there. I was getting anxiety, depression, brain fog. Then I got diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. So it was just kind of like boom, 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 boom. I had an eating disorder in college. Just all these things were adding up. And I remember Googling all kinds of things, trying to figure out what was going on with me. How could I help these symptoms? And I finally came across this girl on YouTube, and she said that she went vegan to help her PCOS. So that was the thing that first, I guess, introduced me to the plant-based lifestyle. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. Worst comes to worst, I go back to eating what I was eating. So yeah, that's what I did. I started off really small. I really didn't even know what veganism entailed. I really didn't know like what foods I could or couldn't eat, but I just thought, hey, I'm gonna go for it, and I'll learn as I go. And that's what I did. I started gradually, taking out new foods that I found out were animal products. I was like, oh, that's an animal? I did not know that. Okay, guess I'll cut that out now. So I just did it little by little. Along the way, I would just cut out more of the animal foods. And then I did that for probably about a year and a half. And I was starting to feel so much better. Everything was going great. I was like, wow, this is awesome. I found the solution to all my problems. And then all of a sudden my symptoms started coming back. And I was so confused. I didn't know what was happening. I was like, I thought I figured it out. I thought I found it. What is this? And then I really broke down. I felt lost. I felt defeated. All of these symptoms, it wasn't just one symptom. It was all of these symptoms just combined. And I felt like I wasn't in control of my body anymore. And I think I had watched this girl again, who was vegan and would share her story on YouTube. And she said she would talk a little bit about medical medium. Like, I think she shared his heavy metal detox smoothie. And so I had heard his name like here and there, but I really didn't know what he was about, what he stood for. And I think I found another girl on social media, I think it was Instagram, and she shared her eczema story and how she had cleared her eczema following his information. So I finally just felt so lost, and I was like, all right, let me look into this guy. I'll do anything at this point. And so at first I was very skeptical when I heard of medical medium. I was like, oh, this guy talks to here's a spirit. What? I don't understand. It was nothing like I hadn't heard anything about that. I've never been exposed to that. So I was very skeptical in the beginning, but again, I had no other choices. I felt lost. So I was like, and then when I saw all the foods that he said to cut out, I was very apprehensive to do it because I felt I was already vegan. I've already cut out so many foods. I don't want to cut out more foods. So yeah, it was tough for me to actually try it out because I didn't want to cut out more of the foods. But then I gave it a shot. I was like, all right, I'm going to cut out. I think I started off with gluten. I decided to cut out the gluten and then the soy. And I think those were the two that I cut out. And I was like, all right, let me just give this a shot and see if I feel better. And sure enough, I started feeling a little bit better. Like my eczema was starting to go away after a couple months. And so after, I want to say 6 months, I kind of experimented with his protocol and his lifestyle. And then I started listening to the podcast. And all of a sudden, like, I'm listening to the podcast and everything he's saying is making sense. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I
you
get
the
it.
aha moment.
Yeah, it was just aha, like, wow, oh my gosh, why hasn't anyone told me about this so much sooner? So I want to say I did that for like experimented with and dabbled in and out of his stuff for like 6 months. And then finally, after 6 months, I started seeing health improvements and everything that he had talked about made sense. So I was like, all right, I'm doing everything. I'm going full in. So I cut out all of the no foods, and then I started drinking the celery juice every day, the heavy metal detox smoothie every day. And the first couple months, I will say, were a little bit rough because your symptoms, or for me at least, my symptoms got a little worse before they got better. But I just kept telling myself this, I'm clearing out, the toxins out of my body. So it's going to be a little bad for a period of time, but after that, it'll get better. And sure enough, after a couple months of doing that, I started feeling better and noticing I was doing better. And I remember medical medium always said, like, it's what is 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And so I just kept telling myself that over and over. I was like, all right, I got to keep going. Like, I would get, a couple symptoms would come back and then it would get better. And then some symptoms would come back and it would get better. It was very like up and down, but for the most part, I was seeing huge improvements. So yeah, and everything like that he says makes sense. At least for me, everything matched up. So
Absolutely. That's
yeah,
how everyone feels after a certain while.
yeah,
So
yeah.
would you, what would you say did motivate you to keep on going if you had your symptoms to be worsened? Is it because you didn't have any other choice, or you saw so many improvements on other people on Instagram or social media?
Yeah, I would say social media played a huge part in the motivation. Because everyone in my real life, no one around me eats the way I do. Everyone looks at me like I'm crazy, which, I get it. When you first tell people the things that you don't eat, it's compared to what everyone else eats. It's like, what do you eat? But now I look at it as I don't feel restricted in any way. I feel like this lifestyle is freedom for me. I was so down, dealing with the depression and anxiety and all eczema. And I just felt so trapped in my body, and this information saved me. It brought me back to life. And yeah, I would say social media, following people and having that community online really inspired me to keep going with it, because I didn't have anyone in my real life who does anything that I do. So I found that through the internet. And yeah.
Yeah, the online medical medium community is so huge right now, and they are so helpful. It's a blessing to
Oh,
have that online platform.
yeah, I agree completely.
So you made a lot of friends online and kept on
Actually,
exchanging your experiences?
yeah, actually in the beginning I just followed. I think I only followed like 3 people that did the medical medium information, and I didn't even know that there was such a huge community for like the first couple months that I did it. I thought only a couple people were doing this, and I was kind of interested, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. But yeah, I don't know when I started to see, or when I figured out that there was a whole community. But I think I started my Instagram account, and at first that was just to share my veganism, but then slowly but surely I started doing the medical medium information, and then somehow I started finding more people who also did the medical medium information, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And so yeah, from there it was just everyone was kind of inspiring everyone, and I made friends that way.
Cool. So did you also notice some emotional detox
Oh,
during?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's really tough, and especially when sometimes symptoms come up, it can trigger things for me, because I was so sick for a long time. I want to say for a good 10 years, I had a lot of symptoms that I was dealing with. So now when some symptoms come back, it can trigger old emotions and those feelings that I used to have. So absolutely. And I definitely feel like even my spirituality has grown so much. My trust in myself, my confidence has grown from doing all of this. Yeah, in every single way, it's improved.
That's amazing. And I guess I would say it's always interesting for others to see that it's not just the physical body that changes, but also our emotional body, and that we have
Yeah,
a lot of yeah, stored up emotions and things
yeah,
that we just stuffed into ourselves and numbed us.
absolutely. I agree 100%.
So what about the cleanses from Medical Medium? Did you do a lot of them, like the 28-day cleanse or the liver rescue cleanse?
Yeah, actually, a lot of people ask me about that. I don't know. I guess when people first hear medical medium, maybe they see someone else doing the cleanse, so they think that's the first thing that they have to do. But I always tell people I actually didn't do any cleanses or anything for the first year that I followed the information. It wasn't until after a year, this past January, I just did the 369 cleanse for the first time. And I hadn't done any of the other cleanses. I just did cut out the no foods, introduced more, of the healing foods, celery juice, and then the heavy metal detox smoothie. I just stuck with that. And yeah, I really didn't do any of the cleanses. I felt for me, I couldn't do the cleanses just yet because it was too much for me, especially because I was still healing from an eating disorder. So I wanted to fully heal that before I even tried to do one of his cleanses. But I really think the cleanses are an amazing thing to do. If you feel ready to do it, definitely do it, because I did the 369 cleanse in January, and it was a bit rough for me doing it. It did bring up a lot of old symptoms, and that was tough. But afterwards, I felt so much better. I really did feel like it got out more of the toxins in me. So, and I'm thinking about doing the 28-day cleanse soon. Not sure about that just yet because I do like potatoes.
Yeah, I can understand.
And I liked my cooked foods, especially since it's cold here still.
Yeah.
But I think when it warms up, I might go raw and do that for a period of time, just to heal more.
Yes, it's so much easier in the summer because there's
Yeah.
much more available, and it's so hot that it's not tempting to eat cooked food and hot food.
Yes. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. I was wondering about another question. Yeah, what about supplements? Did you start them right away, or did you just get started on the foods and then you brought them in bit by bit?
Yeah, I started with the foods first. I really didn't do any supplements for a while. And then when I started bringing in the supplements, I introduced one at a time. And I was a bit sensitive to the supplements in the beginning, so I could only handle a little bit. But over time, I've been able to increase the amounts. I think I just started with 3 supplements in the very beginning. I had the B12, the zinc, liquid zinc sulfate, and the vitamin C. And I just stuck with those for the first, probably first 8 months. I just did that.
Yeah, it's always good to get started slowly and to see how much the body can handle and then adapt it.
Exactly.
So you
That's what
always figured things out yourself without getting help of a practitioner?
I actually, again, that's another thing I wish I did, but in the beginning, I didn't realize there was such a huge medical medium community. I didn't know there was such a thing. I went to a lot of counselors and therapists over the years, but of course, none of them were medical medium stuff. And I didn't even know that was a thing until recently. So I actually just booked my first appointment with a medical medium practitioner. So I'm very excited to see what they say and do that. But I think if I were to recommend someone else who's just starting, I would definitely say find a medical medium practitioner. I wish I knew that was a thing in the beginning, but I didn't.
Yeah, it's
I
so
just
helpful to get advice from a professional who's
uh, absolutely.
experienced a lot of that stuff already.
Absolutely. I think it would have made my journey so much easier if I had no idea. So I just used the Medical Medium podcast as my therapist and read his books. And anytime I had a question, I would just pull out the books and try to find it in there. And that is great, but it would be nice to have someone who's already been there, done that, and can kind of steer you in the right direction. So yeah, I'm looking forward to actually working with a practitioner soon. So
Yeah, we'll see how it goes for you. That's excited.
yeah.
So if you could, I have one last question that I ask all of the participants. If you would have to start all over again, would you say you would do everything the same, or would you do things differently, like switching to a practitioner?
Yeah,
Getting help?
I definitely would have gotten a practitioner in the beginning if I had known about that. Because I think it took me a lot longer to learn things because I was just doing it on my own. I didn't know that there was such a thing. But as far as everything else I think I did everything pretty well. I'm happy that I kind of introduced things one at a time, because I think if I had done everything all in the beginning, it would have been too much for my body, and I probably wouldn't have been able to keep going with this. So yeah.
Yeah, that was some amazing tips from you, and it's so cool to hear your story.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I hope I didn't miss. There's so many things along my journey, so it's kind of hard to talk about it because a lot of things I've forgotten, and it's just like so many little things
Yeah,
that
that's what a lot of people underestimate. They just keep on going and keep on going, and then, oh, I still haven't healed that, and I still haven't healed that. Yeah, but you healed all of the other small things. Did you realize?
Yeah, and again, yeah, I'm the same in that same boat. Like, I have still certain symptoms that I'm still working on healing, and even I guess this past week, actually, I think I'm going through a little bit of a flare. I've had certain symptoms, old symptoms, come up, and I think it's because of all of the anxiety and the stress with this coronavirus that's going on. It's bringing up a lot of those emotions, and it's that adrenaline is causing certain symptoms to show up. But I keep reminding myself, all right, just keep up with this and they'll go away. It'll pass.
Yeah, just like he mentions in the Liver Rescue book at the end, the storms will pass.
The storms will pass. I love that.
Yeah, thank
Absolutely.
you so much for joining in.
Yeah,
You have
thanks for
such an
having me.
amazing story.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It was very nice.
Yeah, it was so great talking to you and meeting you.
So where can people find you if they want to check out more of your story?
Yeah, I have an Instagram. My handle is at calling Karina, LLNG period, and then Karina, Karina.
Great. So I hope a lot of
Yeah,
people get inspired by you and will get, yeah, the inspiration to keep on going, just like you did.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I try to share my journey over there. So
Well, I'll definitely follow you.
yeah, you too. Thanks for everything you're doing and sharing your story. You always inspire me with your everything that you post.
Thank you. Yeah, I also got started in 2016, but then I got off track and now I'm totally back into it.
Yeah, I mean, you're killing it. I see your stories every day and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm right there with you.
I'm doing my best to keep up everything.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most important things is to find a support group while you're doing this. Finding
Absolutely.
people that are doing similar lifestyle as you.
Yes, and listening to the podcasts and his lives all over again, that keeps me motivated most of the times.
Yes, that's another thing I do. I'm constantly re-listening to his podcast. I feel like I always learn something new. No matter how many times I listen to it, I'm like, I don't remember him saying that. What?
Yeah, totally. And yeah, because sometimes I'm one of the persons, if I heard something back then I forget about it and then I hear it again and then Did he say that before?
I'm the same way. I completely understand.
Totally forgot it.
Me too. Me too.
Well, thank you so much for joining in again. And then we'll say goodbye to our viewers. And yeah, we'll see them soon in another episode.
Thank you. Bye.